I had probably one of my most amazing experiences that I've had in a long time yesterday. I have had, and actually in the last couple of months. Just check this out. So there was still another 20th of the room that got filled up. Unbelievable. So I went to the event yesterday. I brought all my camera equipment. I really wanted to live stream it. I started live stream, but it fell because there's just too many people in the room and the signals kept dropping. So I recorded it and on video. It's a phenomenal video I've got, but the mics just was horrible. There was so much echoing and stuff. So what I've done is I'm going to show a couple of clips of inside the building, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to go over to the event through just stream it through another channel. So please please subscribe. You know, I'm just growing. This is what I do. I'm getting more into political stuff as it results to the pandemic related to the opiate crisis, because I got my own personal story and I got lots of other stories. Now, again, before we get into this, I just want you to be aware the sound was absolutely horrific. Cell service, when you watched it live on the YouTube thing, I'm still trying to stream it together so that I've got the stream on this video, which is this video here.
For our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada First, for change. Let's bring it up.
Last thing I want to say before we get into the video, his wife, after he was introduced by her, which was a really phenomenal speech, she's a very classy woman, she's a very smart woman, she's a very Canadian woman. She sat in the front row beside her man and she watched him. She didn't take her eyes off of him the whole speech, 50 minutes long. I was absolutely amazed. What an amazing woman. Anyways, God bless. Bring it home. Let's rock and roll.
Wow, look at that. Amazing. Hey, good to see you. Wow. Hello, beautiful British Columbia. Who's ready to axe some taxes? Who's ready for homes you can actually afford? Who's ready to stop the crime? Who's ready to bring our jobs back home? And who's ready to put Canada first for a change? Wow. Look at this crowd. Incredible. I'm told there are as many as 5,000 people here today. unbelievable. As I was driving up, I saw the people lined up in the rain. Have you ever had rain here before in British Columbia? It's nothing. You walk around in the rain for fun out here. I love being back in this place. Beautiful British Columbia. I love you too. I love you too. I, of course, am an Albertan, which is that alien species that invades your province every summer for your lakes and your oceans, and every winter for your ski hills. We do spend a lot of money here, but we love British Columbia as fellow Westerners. I gained some of my best lessons from my parents on those road trips. I remember when I was a little boy, we went camping in Penticton. So we drove all the way, road trip from Calgary. We got there and we pitched our tent. And I went to the shore, and lo and behold, there were these new things called jet skis. I'd never seen them before, but it looked thrilling. So I ran back and I told my dad he had to rent me one of these things. He went and checked. He said, it's $100. We're not paying $100 for you to buzz around on the lake, but we can rent you one of those little pedal boats. You know, the yellow things? So he rents me this little pedal boat. I go out into the middle of the lake. The rich kids come over with their jet skis and start splashing me and laughing at me. So I pedal my way back to the side of the shore, and I went to my dad in tears and told him the story. And he said, I'll make you a deal. You can get back to Calgary, and we'll get you some jobs here and there, and you're going to save up some money. And by the time you turn 16, you'll have enough to borrow our minivan, the Chevy Lumina. You remember those things? They look like a spaceship. You can fill it up with gas. You can drive back out to the campground. You can rent yourself some space, and then you can pull the money out of your pocket that you earned, and you can rent yourself a Sea-Doo for an hour. How does that sound? In other words, very simple lesson. If you want nice things in life, you have to work for it, right? And sure enough, I did, and it worked. And that was the Canadian promise, that anyone from anywhere could achieve anything. If they worked hard, they could have a beautiful home on a safe street, protected by brave troops under a proud Canadian flag. That's why people come here. Look at Surrey, one of the most welcoming places in the world, a place where pioneers settled, and over the years, waves and waves of immigrants came here. Obviously, throughout British Columbia, we had the incredible Sikh loggers who came over to harvest the forest and then brought many of their family members to build incredible businesses in places like Surrey. And over the years, people found this to be an incredible land of opportunity where they could do anything they wanted. But that Canadian promise, after the lost Liberal decade, is broken. Everything costs more, with the worst inflation in 40 years. Food prices have risen about 37% faster in Canada than they did in the United States in the exact same 5-year period. Housing costs have more than doubled. It now takes about $1.2 million to buy a home, an average home, in the greater Vancouver area. In fact, Vancouver is now by far the most expensive housing market in North America, and the third most expensive anywhere in the world, after Liberals promised they were going to make life more affordable. And then crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder overtake our once tranquil streets as criminals who are repeatedly released onto our neighborhood streets terrorize our citizens, sell drugs to our kids, and shatter what used to be beautiful and safe communities. Finally, our economy has been weakened by years of radical, net zero, anti-development extremists led by Mark Carney and Stephen Guilbeault, who have blocked our pipelines, shuttered our mines, attacked our forestry sector, all while they move their money offshore to lower tax havens or places with no environmental standards at all. My friends, our country, life has never been more expensive, our streets have never been more dangerous, our economy has never been more vulnerable, and we have never been so much under the American thumb as we are after the lost Liberal decade. But the choice in this election is whether the Liberals deserve a fourth term or whether it is time for a change to axe the taxes, develop our resources, put Canada first for a change. Le choix après la décennie perdue des libéraux, le choix, c'est est-ce qu'on veut donner aux libéraux un quatrième mandat pour augmenter les taxes, gonfler le prix de logement et affaiblir notre économie face aux Américains, ou est-ce que c'est le temps de mettre le Canada d'abord pour faire changement et pour reprendre le contrôle de notre avenir? C'est ça notre approche. Now, the Liberals are trying to pull a fast one on us. They want to make us forget about the last 10 years, all the damage that they've done and the weakness that they've created, by replacing Justin Trudeau with his economic advisor and hand-picked successor, Mark Carney. This, despite it is the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal MPs, same Liberal strategists, same Liberal promises they've been breaking for the last 10 years. The only difference is that Mr. Carney is a more weak, out of touch, and conflicted leader than even Justin Trudeau. He has only done two things in Canada. He's been out of Canada for most of his adult life. Up until recently, he had 3 passports. But since coming back, he's done only 2 things. He's been the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau, helping him cause the economic damage, and he's moved his headquarters out of Canada to the US while moving billions of dollars of investment from Canada to tax havens where he doesn't have to pay his fair share. But my friends, the good news is, Canada was not like this before the lost Liberal decade, and it won't be like this after they're gone. We're going to pass a big bring-it-home economic plan. And it starts with cutting the taxes of the workers, the investors, the businesses, the farmers, the people who build our country. It starts income tax. I saw this incredible meme the other day. It was a boy sitting in the park, his face buried in his hands, crying his eyes out. He had asked his dad, what is an income tax for him? And his dad said, well, it's just like your high school report card, except the inverse. The harder you work, the worse you do. Income tax is like the fine you pay for the crime of working hard. No wonder people don't want to take that extra shift, work that extra hour, get that promotion, or gain a bonus, because if they do, they're penalized through high levels of Liberal income tax. And that has driven many of our best people out of the country for better opportunities. We want this to be a country that rewards hard work. And that's why I have announced that a Canada First government will cut income tax for the average worker by 15%. But we also have to bring home our investment. While greedy corporate insiders are able to move their money offshore and get rewarded for it with lower taxes, here in Canada, you're punished with high taxes on investment. It should be exactly the opposite. We need more investment in Canada. In fact, We in Canada only get about $15,000 of investment for every worker in the country. In the States, it's $28,000. We only get 65% per capita investment compared to the rest of the developed world. That means that our workers, though they are the best in the world, don't get the tools to produce more and therefore bring more home. We need to bring our investment back to Canada. We also need to reverse the $500 billion of investment that is left for the United States over the lost Liberal decade. As one of the steps towards doing that, I announced today that my government will bring in the Canada First TFSA top-up. Now, as you know, the previous Conservative government, with the help of Mark Straw, and you were too young to be around at the time. Yes, you were a staffer. Who else was there? Who was there? You were there, Carrie Lynn? But that really, my goodness. Carrie Lynn Finley was there. We brought in the tax-free savings accounts, allowing you to save and grow your nest egg tax-free. Now we're going to keep the existing TFSA the same as it is. You'll keep being able to contribute $7,000 a year. But on top of that, our government will let you contribute an additional $5,000 as long as all of that extra money goes to Canadian companies. So that this will... I love it. Absolutely. Bring it home. 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 That's right. Well, Mark Carney ships his money off to Bermuda to dodge taxes. We're going to reward hardworking Canadians who set aside money by investing in Canadian companies that will use that money to buy Canadian equipment, build Canadian factories, Canadian mines, Canadian pipelines, and pay wages to Canadian workers. And then we're going to axe the carbon tax. Remember, the Liberals told us that if we got rid of the carbon tax, the entire planet would be lit on fire. Remember that? They said the carbon tax was the only way to stop forest fires. That's funny. I always thought you put fire out with water, not with taxes. They have senior ministers that are still in the cabinet who said they would resign in protest if ever the carbon tax were canceled. So what did Mark Carney do? He didn't get rid of the carbon tax. In fact, the full carbon tax law is still on the books. Instead, in a few days, he's going to make it disappear from the pumps for the 30 days leading up to the election, so that Canadians will forget that there is a carbon tax until they go and vote. If, God forbid, they get back in, Carney will bring in a bigger, meaner, heavier carbon tax than ever before with no rebate. But not only that, he has said that he wants a fatter industrial carbon tax on our steel mills, our lumber mills, our cement, and our fertilizer. All of that will be passed on. Higher steel prices will drive up the cost of cars and make us more dependent on the Americans who won't have to pay the tax because they have none south of the border. Imagine the one thing that Carney and Trump agree on is that they both want to tax Canadian industry. Trump wants to hit us with tariffs, Carney with a carbon tax. The good news is it's not going to happen because as Prime Minister, I will axe the tax for everyone, for everybody, for real, for good, for a change. Absolutely. Axe the tax. 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 Wow. I think everybody wants to axe the tax. And then we're going to axe the inflation tax. You know how inflation happens. It's always the same thing. Government prints money to spend what it doesn't have. That money goes out into the marketplace and bids up the cost of goods. It doesn't make us richer to have more cash if there's not more stuff to buy with that cash. If you have an economy with 10 apples and $10, it's $1 an apple. Now, if you double the number of dollars to 20, well, you still have only 10 apples. It's not that you're twice as rich. It's just that each apple now costs twice as much. That's inflation. As the advisor to Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney pushed more money printing. He said we'd have deflation if we didn't print money. God forbid prices go down, right? And so what happened? Our money supply went up from 1.8 trillion to 2.5 trillion, growing our money by 40%, while the real economy grew by only 4%. In other words, the money grew 10 times faster than the stuff that money buys. And that inflated the price of everything. Now we have 2 million more people lined up at food banks. We have 25% of our population in poverty. We are going to stop the money printing, which is actually the symptom. The real disease is overspending. We have to stop spending so much money on wasteful things in Ottawa. My government. We will cut back on the federal bureaucracy, cut back on the consultants that consume $20 billion a year. We will cut back on handouts to corporate insiders, and we will cut back foreign aid to bring our money home to our people in this country. In so doing, we will pass a dollar-for-dollar law that requires we find equal amount of saving for every extra spending we do. We'll run our finances the way you run your household, by making trade-offs and getting bargains and getting better value for money, so politicians can't just pass the bill on in more inflation, debt, and taxes. They have to actually go into their departments, dig out the waste, get better value for money, and lower the cost of government so that we don't destroy the value of the money that you earn every single day. And the worst inflation of all is housing inflation, which is shut out for the first time in Canadian history. Our youth cannot afford homes. This has never been the case. It now takes 29 years for an average British Columbia family to save up for a down payment. It used to be you paid off a mortgage in 25 years, faster than it takes now for the down payment. This is in part due to taxes and government inflation. 60% of the cost of a new home in Vancouver today is taxes, bureaucracy, delays, consultants, zoning, lawyers. More money from a new home goes to bureaucrats in offices than goes to the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers who actually build the homes. So this is a shame, and not only that, the very carpenters who build the homes cannot afford to live in them. That is why we are going to cut back on the taxes and bureaucracy, starting with my leadership and the team of our Conservative Party, to eliminate the federal sales tax on homes under $1.3 million. This will save a home buyer as much as $65,000 on a purchase, or $3,000 a year in mortgage payments. Furthermore, we will incentivize municipalities through federal infrastructure money to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges to build 15% more homes per year. And finally, we will sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build. Who's this? Come on up here. Come on, this guy. Come on up here. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Good to see you. Come up and say hello. There we go. What's your name? What's that?
Maxim.
Maxim? Good to meet you. So are you the sheriff around here? Do I have a parking ticket? No, I don't have a parking ticket. You're keeping law and order around here? Have you caught any bad guys? Not yet. He's looking out. If there are any bad guys out there, Maxim's coming to get you, okay? Way to go. Are you ready? Look over that way. Are you ready to stop the crime? Way to go. What a kid. And when you grow up, do you want to own your own house? Do you think we should put Canada first? Excellent. Way to go, buddy. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Maxime. Way to go, my friend. Thanks very much for coming. Great kid. All right. He's my security. Is that proud mother over there? That's great. What a great kid. You're raising. He's going to be a cop one day? Good. Excellent. We need more. We love our police. Give it up for the police, everybody. Way to go, Max. Way to go. And what's that? Yeah, jail, not bail for the criminals, that's for sure. But you know, the choice in the next election on housing is taxes. Is whether the Liberals deserve a fourth term after driving up taxes and housing costs, or whether it's time to put Canada first with a new Conservative government that will axe the taxes, build the homes, and bring home the dream of home ownership for every hardworking Canadian. Thank you. And we're going to bring home our jobs. We're going to bring home our jobs from around the world. And that starts by repealing the anti-energy and resource laws in order to make it at home. We will repeal the No New Pipelines Liberal Law C-69. We will get rid of the energy cap that Carney has imposed on our oil and gas sector. We will approve the Ring of Fire in Ontario to harvest the strategic minerals. We will give rapid approval through something called shovel-ready zones, where we'll go out, we'll draw a circle around different land masses that are perfect for mines, pipelines, power stations, or other things. We'll give pre-permitting so that companies don't even need to apply. They only need to meet predefined specifications and standards, and if they do, they can get in, get the shovels in the ground, and get building from the start. This will eliminate. What's that? What was that? Drill baby, absolute. What do you do, sir? What do you do? He drives a concrete truck. He wouldn't be able to give him a round of applause. That's what we need. Boots, not suits. Boots, not suits. Boots, not suits. That's what we need. The hardworking people who build stuff are going to have a chance to do it. You know, we have such incredible blessings. We should be the richest country in the world. You agree with that up there? The richest country in the world. We have the most uranium, the most potassium, potash. We have the third biggest supply of oil, the fifth biggest supplier of natural gas. We have the most oceanic coastline of any nation on Earth. We have the sixth biggest supply of lithium The list goes on, and yet we're keeping it in the ground because of a radical net zero ideology that impoverishes our people while enriching the global elites. We have clean electricity that could power these data centers. You know, like Microsoft and Meta and these other big companies, Alphabet, they're all building their own nuclear power plants to feed these data centers. These artificial intelligence centers, they takes 10 times as much electricity when you do a chat GPT inquiry as when you do a Google search. Artificial intelligence. We have that in the government too. It's just a different type. It's just a different type. But we have the electricity in Canada to power these things. What we need is to have shovel-ready zones that pre-approve the power station and the data center, the LNG plant, the pipeline, the mines, the factories. We're going to reignite our great resource sector and bring home our jobs. Bring it home. We're going to bring it home. We're going to bring home our jobs and a brighter future for our people, put our nation back in charge of its own future, and our nation will be strong and able to stand up against President Trump or any future American president, because we will be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and strong enough to stand on our own 2 feet. Obviously, the choice in the election will be whether we reward the Liberals with a 4th term after they weakened our country and blocked our resources, or whether it's time to put Canada first with a Conservative government that will unlock our resources and bring home our jobs. But it will take boots and not suits if we're going to do it. Boots, not suits. Boots, not suits. Do we have any tradespeople here today? Yes, the trades. God bless the trades. I tell every young person the key to success is to go into a trade. I visited 600 different events last year. Almost all of them were medium-sized businesses. And everywhere I go now, these businesses, they're not run by lawyers. No offense. Carrie Lynn is a great lawyer. I'm very afraid to upset Carrie Lynn. She's my whip. She's a deadly woman, but she keeps me in line. And what have you got there? It looks like you've got a stick or something. Don't hit me with that, Carrie Lynn. Oh, you've got a great flag. That's excellent. Excellent. There we go. Carrie Lynn Finley. Give it up for Carrie Lynn. But these businesses, they're not run by MBAs. They're run by tradespeople who took the skill set of solving problems and making things work and applied it to business. And that's how they're generating so much value. But unfortunately, the governments want to give all their educational resources to white-collar education. I have no problem with university. I was blessed to go myself. But we should give fairness, and we should give the lion's share to the trades so that we can prepare the young people who will build stuff, make stuff, fix stuff, move stuff. And that's why my government, our Conservative government, will put Canada first and put our tradespeople first by bringing back the $4,000 apprenticeship grant and funding union training halls for 350,000 young people trained to go into the trades. And we want them to bring their paychecks home to safe neighborhoods, so we will stop the crime. The good news is, is there any crime in British Columbia at all? Wild, isn't it? The stories are crazy. Incredible how much crime is going on. Repeat violent offenders. The good news is we don't have a lot of criminals The bad news is they're very productive or very destructive. A tiny group of criminals are doing all of the crime. In Vancouver, the police had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. That means that each one of these guys was arrested. We have great police officer Jesse Sahota here. Future Conservative MP. Wrestling champion, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He even has the cauliflower ears to show it. Very powerful soul, a very powerful guy who's going to fight for it, and he's mentoring our young people. But Jesse, I bet you have a lot of return customers out on the street, right? You're arresting the same guy over and over. Oftentimes the criminals say they're not even afraid to get caught. They don't go through the trouble of avoiding the police because they know they'll be released before the paperwork on their latest arrest is even complete. And then they go out and offend again and again. If you're arrested every 2 days, like those 40 offenders in Vancouver, you got to be working at it all day, every day. It's hard work. You know, you got to be up at the crack of dawn to rob a bank, and, you know, selling fentanyl by noon and carjacking by 2 in the afternoon. And these guys don't even have unions. They don't have benefits. They do get room and board. They go to prison for a few hours. It's like the Hotel California. They check out, but they never really leave. But the reality, it's crazy. If you don't laugh, you cry. If you don't laugh, you cry. This is because of Bill C-75. I quote, that the judge is required to release the offender at the, quote, earliest opportunity under, quote, the least onerous conditions. That is what we're going to get rid of. I will repeal C-75. It'll be jail, not bail. Jail, not bail. Jail, not bail. Then there's C-5, house arrest, which allows chronic car thieves to do their sentences in the comfort of their living room, watching Netflix or playing Grand Theft Auto, only to go out the front door and steal again. We will repeal C-5 and bring mandatory prison sentences for car thieves and other offenders. And we will secure our borders. We know that our weak borders, with 99% of shipping containers going uninspected, and the ability of criminals to walk straight across into our country, is the responsible for almost all of the gun crime we have and the drugs that are coming into our country. And that's why we're going to hire 2,000 more CBSA officers on the front lines by reducing an equal number of back office bureaucrats and using that money to put frontline officers with powerful scanners that can look inside shipping containers, watchtowers that can scan the horizon of our border and stop people from coming in. And we will pay for it by canceling the multi-billion-dollar gun grab that targets law-abiding, lawful, trained and tested firearms owners. This gun grab, which the police across the country oppose, the police unions are nearly unanimous in opposing the gun grab. They know that it goes exclusively after law-abiding people. And that's a very simple truism that's easy to prove. If you're a criminal, you don't go out and get a possession and acquisition license, right? So taking the property away from the trained-tested, proven and vetted licensed owner means that you're by definition going after the good guys and spending billions of police and law enforcement dollars doing it, money that could be going to protecting our people. liberals want to protect turkeys from hunters. I want to protect Canadians from criminals. And then there's the drugs. The drugs. Nowhere has been more ravaged by the fentanyl drug crisis than here in British Columbia. It is a heartbreaking reality that we have lost 50,000 of our friends, neighbors, brothers, and sisters to this mass murderer we call opioids. We know that the crisis started when corrupt pharmaceutical companies targeted hospitals and pharmacies with the lie that opioids were safe and non-lethal and non-addictive. And they made massive sums, even though later on email correspondence proved that they knew they were lying. They even paid bonuses for the number of people that they caused to overdose. The American government has even sued those companies and recovered $54 billion south of the border. Yet here on this side of the border, the radical liberal government not only fails to go after the drug companies and the mass criminals who perpetuate the crisis, they use your tax dollars to fund the distribution of dangerous, high-powered opioids, more powerful than heroin. Opioids that get resold to our children, and then the profits of which are used to buy even more dangerous fentanyl. They decriminalize crack, heroin, cocaine, and other hard drugs here in British Columbia. And they do nothing to stop China from sending the ingredients that are ultimately used to make this deadly poison. We also know that Mark Carney has secured a $250 million loan for his company from the Chinese government. He will never stand up to Beijing when it comes to drugs. And he should be ashamed of himself for saying that the fentanyl problem was not a crisis. He should tell that to the 50,000 people who've lost their lives. We know we have some loved ones there. Sorry. I know. Sorry. I know. We hear stories like this all the time. People who write me letters, heartbreaking letters of good kids who grew up with great values but maybe got an injury and took a drug to try and relieve the pain, or fell in with the wrong crowd. And when they got addicted, they never made it through. But the good news is we can do something about it. We're going to ban the drugs. We're going to stop giving out tax-funded opioids. We're going to put the money... We're going to put the money into treatment and recovery, rehabilitation, so that we can help the people who are addicted cleanse their bodies of these poisons through detox, counseling, group therapy, physical exercise, yoga, sweat lodges for First Nations, transition into housing and a job. The message that I have for anyone out there that might be suffering with addiction: have hope, hang on, hope is on the way. Thank you. And we will recognize that the people who are mass marketing these drugs are killers. If you sell 40 milligrams of fentanyl, you're selling enough to kill 20 people. You might not know who you're killing, but you're effectively firing bullets into a crowded room. Somebody is going to die. And that is why we will treat mass fentanyl producers and traffickers like murderers and mandate life sentences for every single one of them. And we will help pay for all of the wonderful treatment we provide by suing the corrupt pharmaceutical companies that caused the problem in the first place. Speaking of Big Pharma, we will repeal the liberal law that seeks to tax and block you from using natural health products. You should have the freedom to decide what you put in your body. Freedom. We're going to bring home the freedom to our country. Make this the freest country in the world. But to have freedom, you have to have a strong military. We're going to rebuild Canada's armed forces to support our troops and our veterans. That includes recruiting the soldiers to fill all of our allotment, expanding our numbers in both the regular forces and the reserves. We will put money into buying 4 powerful, massive Arctic icebreakers so that we can take back control of our Arctic waters from the Russians and the Chinese. We'll go ahead with the purchase of submarines, fighter jets, and Poseidon aircraft that are able to surveil and interrupt foreign submarines that enter into our waters. We will double the size of the first patrol of the Great Canadian Rangers, and we will build the first post-Cold War Arctic base in Canada, CFB Iqaluit. We will expand the cadet program to get more of our young people, before they even graduate from school, enjoying mentorship from our soldiers and our rangers, learning outdoor skills and binding each other together from coast to coast of our wonderful nation. We will be united in service and loyalty, and we will prepare the next generation of warriors that will defend our land. We will also reject radical schemes like the Liberal Century Initiative to bring our immigration system back under control. Liberals want to cripple our population to 100 million people in a very short period of time. These radical initiatives have undermined what was the best immigration system in the world. We have brilliant immigrants, and before the Liberals, we had the best immigration system. We want to welcome people who can get jobs and homes and who are able to contribute in numbers that our country is able to absorb, and so we will ensure that population never grows faster than the housing stock, than the number of jobs, and the availability of health care. We don't need any of these wild schemes that the globalist elites want to impose on us. You know, Mark Carney thinks he's better than everybody here. He knows better, that he and his friends at Davos can tell us all how to live our lives. My friends, we don't need any direction from him. Canadians are smart enough to make their own decisions. We will reject all of his elitist schemes. There will be no one in my cabinet allowed anywhere near the World Economic Forum.
Boom, I stood up. Boom, we all stood up. I stood up. We all yelled. But it's not showing because there's too many people talking through a small space with no power boosters for Xbox.
We will bring home our democracy. Absolutely.
There I am, right there.
And to be a truly proud nation, we have to honor the history of those who came before us. No more knocking down statues, no more taking down our flag. No more erasing our heroes. When you open the passport a year after a Conservative government, you're going to see Terry Fox, our veterans, the famous Five, and countless other heroes.
Yeah, I have no idea how people can like smash statues down. I get Gassy Jack, I get it, but McDonald, people should went to prison for that one.
We know that If we are able to see over the mountain, it's because we stand on the shoulders of giants who came before us and passed on to us a wonderful country and a beautiful blessing. Not a perfect country with a perfect past, but a group of people who built an incredible land for which we should actually be grateful. We should be grateful for everything we have in this country. We are going to be, we're going to be a self-reliant, strong nation which trades with itself, which harvests its resources, protects its vulnerable, secures its borders, honors its history, rearms its military, raises its flag, and puts its country and its people before everything else. A nation of tax collectors and toll masters, of bureaucrats and busybodies, of gatekeepers and grandees, of rulers and rule makers. No, we are a nation of explorers and entrepreneurs, of artists and adventurers, of workers and warriors, of pioneers and patriots. What binds us together is the Canadian promise. The promise to you, the single mother out there who's struggling to pay your bills, that a better day is coming for you and your children. The promise to the seniors that are choosing between eating and heating, that help and hope are on the way. The promise to the wonderful family that lost a loved one to drug overdoses, that their death will not be in vain, that we will protect other people in the future. That is the Canadian promise. That is the hope we're going to be bringing home for all Canadians. The Canadian promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful home on a safe street under a proud flag protected by brilliant soldiers. To uphold that flag and its promise, we must work together, fight together, and win together for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, for a change. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
So, my friends, quite an interesting event. Again, I've never been to an event like this before. Last time I was around some royalty or some person like this was Lady Diana back in 1982. I don't know, it might be 1980, when they visited Prince George. Fantastic guy. You know, I stayed close to him. It was quite an amazing, it was just all amazing.